Hello everyone, and tonight I'm going to be playing some Battlefield 2 Special Forces, because I haven't really given Battlefield 2 Special Forces much love in recent videos. In fact, I've kind of neglected it. And the first thing I wanted to point out was just kind of how crazy the map layouts are. Even going between Conquest and the single player variants of these maps, actually. I loved that there were differences between those, and I found out only recently that Battlefield 2 also had that thing. I didn't quite realize that. But yeah, I think every map in Battlefield 2 Special Forces is very unique and awesome to play on, and honestly a banger. Unlike like Fushi Pass and I always forget the name of the map, but like Shogular Stalemate. I never got the name of it properly. English is not my specialty, even though I only speak English. This is a you know common thing that's known by now. But yeah, of course, Battlefield 2 Special Forces, the memories for me kind of flood back when I go through these maps. These are much more infantry focused compared to Battlefield 2, so it's a bit more fun to be had here if you just want to enjoy the gunplay here and there. I mean, I guess you can kind of go commando, go solo in a lot of these, but not so much more than, say, the vanilla Battlefield 2. But yeah, I remember, again, it goes back to my dad and his mate playing Battlefield 2 on co-op back in the day, but I very vividly remember him playing Special Forces and like the mystique of it, being an expansion, not being a booster pack like Euroforce and Armored Fury was. So it was really cool that this was a thing. And again, I haven't given the actual expansion much love lately. I haven't played it much in my spare time either. I've mainly been playing Battlefield 2 and some mods, but that changes. We've got two gameplay clips for you guys tonight. And the thing I loved about Special Forces the most was to, yeah, again, I'll reiterate the point, the infantry-focused sort of gameplay. However, when you play with more than like 24 bots, things do get really chaotic on the smaller maps. It's especially obvious on Warlord, which you'll see later on. And even here, really, I mean, my god. The thing I loved about it, again, was the unique equipment, and again, it's just overall just a lot of fun. I remember sometimes I'd watch my dad and his mate play, and sometimes I'd pop in myself to play. And yeah, that was one of the new things that was great to Special Forces that I absolutely loved. The flashbang effect that would kill your frame rate. And then subsequently, tear gas is introduced. I love that. Back to back, you get flashbanged and tear gassed. I'll take things that didn't happen in vanilla Battlefield 2. But yeah, like the maps, again, are more tightly focused and just more interesting in a way. As I said earlier, like, yeah, you just kind of just generally have a lot more interesting things to do. And again, the variance in environments. And it's kind of funny going through the SF64 mod, because that does expand the maps that you can play and also increases the bot count, which explains the absolute shit show that's going on here. But of course it included Striker Karkland Nighttime, which I don't think was in Special Forces at all. Like, I had a look later on and it wasn't there, so I'm kind of surprised that they included that in there. That must have just been a custom modder's work. I mean, of course it's as simple as just changing the skybox and incorporating, the US Navy SEALs faction and then the MEC Special Forces. The thing I found really interesting about Battlefield 2 Special Forces is that there's more factions in the expansion than there is in the base game. Now, of course, with the base game, it's tail as time. Everyone who's probably watching this video knows at this point, but you only get 3 factions unless you include the European Union from Euroforce. So you only get the People's Liberation Army, or China, Middle Eastern Coalition, MEC, and the USMC. But in this, there's like the Spetsnaz, there's Rebel Forces, there's the Insurgent Forces, there's the MEC Special Forces, there's the Navy SEALs, and then there's the British SAS. And it's, I've just noticed that I've just kind of arranged my own harem of bots giving me ammo and medical supplies whenever I need them. But yeah, it was quite interesting little fact there that I didn't quite realise until later on. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But yeah, given you do get actually a surprising amount of single player maps to play around with in the base game, and I thought that was an ally there, but it turns out it wasn't. It's quickly undid there. Again, 32 bots on these maps just doesn't work, but it's just funny to do anyway, because it's just, good short bursts of conquest, basically, even if it's very one-sided. Yeah, it's just very interesting, because you get 6 maps available to you in Special Forces, and again, they all cover quite a large variety of environments. Like, again, covers quite a lot, whereas the Middle Eastern maps kind of get a little bit samey in Battlefield 2 after a little while. I mean, they're all iconic in their own way, and there's only 2 bad ones, as I said at the start of the video, really. You probably had a third in ZR Wetlands too, but I think that's a pretty good map too, now that I think about it. I did briefly try the other faction, but the Insurgents, flashbang, the Insurgents actually have identical kits, so it kind of made, and the same voice lines too, so it kind of made it a little bit redundant there. So I literally just cut the footage out, because I'm just like, nah, there's no real point. I tried to be sneaky and tried to capture capture more of these bases to try to level up the playing field. But by that point, I'd realised it was way too late, and I was just dicking around with a shotgun, so it wasn't anything interesting. But I did want to get to Warlord, which was perhaps my favourite map. Although no, it's difficult to have a favourite map in Special Forces, isn't it? Wow, it really is. No, I love Night Flight as well, but I tried playing Warlord with the bot mod, and you're about to very quickly see why this is a terrible idea on a 16-player map. Because like all hell breaks loose. You capture the gas station, and then all hell breaks loose. All the bots just get carried away here. You just get flashbanged, you get grenaded, you get tear gassed. All this good shit happens. So I very quickly realized that this just wasn't going to work, and I just decided to just go to the vanilla game, because it's kind of weird, because the vanilla game just has a unique vibe to it. I don't know, just fun to just load up the basic game and just go from there, rather than sometimes it's just nice to just keep things simple, you know what I'm saying? So here we are. So this is the other map, Warlord, or one of 6 maps that is available in co-op and single player. And I always loved getting into this vehicle and getting bots with me, because there was always like a 50-50 chance of the insurgent with like an 80 tank class just rocketing you and just destroying you in one hit. But as you see there, I kind of failed on that and just ran into a signpost there. But nonetheless, still managed to get to the capture point. But I was surprised that there wasn't this time around an insurgent with RPG ready to blow up the vehicle at a moment's notice. That was a nice little change there. Just brought me back to when, again, I'd run the gauntlet on that and be like, oh, okay, well, they blew me up. And sometimes I'd restart because I'm like, nah, that's not the vibe I wanted to go for. Things that 10-year-old me did when I was playing this game. Just dumb shit. Well, I don't really have much else to add, really. It's been fun going through a lot of these. I'm getting a little bit burnt out because I've just done my 3rd video in the last 3 hours. So if you don't mind me rambling on about what I plan to do next, I don't even know really what I'm going to be doing next, really. For all I know, I might take a 2-week break after this. So much so that I just want to refresh my memory and find new games to play. I'll get back into it and get back into the swing of things. But for now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I've done a lot, and it's been a pretty good run so far. This map is pretty barren with 16 bots. I feel like I should have probably played the SF64, but then turned down the bots a bit. But you can't really do that unless you have to load into the AI Python notepad code thing that you access. You can access like a lot of you can tweak a lot of the settings using notepad, which I thought was a really hilarious little tweak there. It's like, this game relies on all these complicated systems and has a huge texture cache and all that sort of thing. I read a review on 2142. I know Battlefield 2 is less technically advanced than 2142 is, but it was interesting because it was a review for the Mac version. And it was mentioned how when you loaded the game up on max settings, it would use about 900 megabytes for textures. Considering our GPUs these days, like 8 gig of VRAM is not enough for a lot of modern games. I thought that was hilarious that he was complaining about nearly 1 gig, but at the same time, nearly 1 gig from a game from 2006 is absolutely ridiculous. But in saying that, I guess it likely isn't, because I can't imagine it would have increased all that much in the preceding years. Like, what? You go from 2006 to 2010, Black Ops 1 or Battlefield Bad Company, I think they needed cards with 2 gig of VRAM or 1 gig of VRAM, if I'm not mistaken. I actually don't remember. And then again, I didn't really play either of those games on PC. I played them on 360. Be interesting to actually read about that, actually. But, I mean, I can't imagine Call of Duty Ghosts needed more than 2 gig, if that. I mean, it probably did, but, I mean, by that time, I mean, most video cards that came out at that point had 4 gigabyte of VRAM anyway. I mean, the card that I'm using for this PC, it has 12. And it's an RTX 3060 that just runs everything just fine. I mean, I'm recording a lot of my footage using the RTX 3060 shadow play. But back to the map, I mean, I've always found that as much as I love this map, once you get to this point, once you get to the palace foyer, things kind of go between just frenetic kind of hall-to-hall chaos, or it just gets really boring. And unfortunately in this playthrough, things kind of got a little bit boring and I just started dicking around. But again, it just goes back to that whole thing of you need more than just 8 bots on each side to sort of just make this work. Again, unless you're playing with friends, because playing with friends always makes these games better. And on that topic, I mean, me and my dad would play these games together. We played Project Reality quite a bit together, actually, about 10 years ago. And he's actually asked me recently if it's possible for me to kind of revive a PC or build a PC for him to do this, and I'm kind of in that circumstance where I can actually do it because I've got my old graphics card that I had before I upgraded everything, because the timeline of this PC was late 2020, pretty much when I stopped doing YouTube videos. And I thought it was quite funny at the time because I remember thinking, oh, it'd be cool to start doing videos on PC again and all that, but I just never got around to it. But at the time I had, I believe it was a 9th gen Intel i5. I don't know the exact processor, but it was a 9th gen Intel of some sort, maybe an 8th gen. I don't remember the details of that. However, I do remember what graphics card it had. It was a GTX 970. And of course the 970 and the 980 and subsequently the 1080 and the 1080 Ti all had legendary reputations. And this game, you know, would run absolutely fine on a 970. Like, there wouldn't be any problem there. It'd run fine on an Intel integrated graphics. I mean, that's how I got this game installed. I installed this game on my mum's work laptop, which had Intel integrated HD graphics, which I believe was the HD 4000. But anyway, going on a bit of a tangent there. So I could very likely build the PC because I've got 16 gig of, like, I think it's DDR3 or DDR4 RAM, which is a hot commodity these days for a certain reason. And then I've got a random 16 gig stick that one of my friends gave me when I wanted to get a bit more RAM, because I only had 16 gig RAM on that PC back then. But my more pressing question is how well does this game run on Linux? Because I actually don't know anyone who's really played this game on Linux. You do see like little whispers of it, because of course you get like Crossover and Wine and, you know, those wrappers and, you know, layers like Proton and all that, emulating DirectX calls and stuff like that. So I do kind of wonder how the game would run on Linux, especially on an NVIDIA card, because Linux seems to run a bit nicer on AMD cards. And as much as I've wanted AMD graphics cards and all that, I've not had a PC with an AMD graphics card since ever, actually. The original PC build my dad did had an NVIDIA card. My laptop had an NVIDIA card in it, my gaming one that, you know, powered these videos for a good chunk of years during my high school years. My old PC build before this current one had the GTX 970, and now my current one has the RTX 3060. That being said, though, another friend of mine did offer me her Intel B580, which I was pretty tempted to take up, but my only caveat is that I don't know how Le Mans Ultimate plays on that, but that's the whole other thing. Back to Battlefield 2 Special Forces. This is a great game. I mean, it's a shame that not as many people, barely anyone's kind of playing this online compared to Battlefield 2. But that's to be expected, you know, it's a separate sort of loader, and while the online infrastructure is identical, you know, it's a different sort of palette of Battlefield 2, and it's not necessarily Battlefield in its traditional sense. It's very much infantry focused, but that's, you know, it's still very much fun. And again, I love just the unique vibe of just all these different factions just having like these little battles together and all that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end it there. Sorry I got a little bit rambly at the end there. I'm a little bit burnt out and need to talk about other things. But if you enjoyed this video, do leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever, and I'll see you guys in the next one. But for now, take care.